everyone. This is in continuation with our topic of energy in the environment. As we have discussed, there are a number of energy sources available in the environment, and out of these one of the main sources is the fossil fuels. And in fossil fuels we have discussed one of the important fossil fuels, which is coal, and its importance. Now, coal can be extracted by various methods from the earth's surface and also underground. There are two methods which can be employed to extract coal from so-called coal mines, and as we discussed, these methods include strip mining and underground mining, and both these processes are accompanied by effects on the environment. Strip mining comparatively is an easier method and it is less expensive, so it is a preferred form of extraction of coal from its mines. And this strip mining is basically from earth's surface and just below the earth's surface, as the picture is showing. And the second method of the extraction of coal is underground mining, in which the half of the coal must stay in the mines to prevent them from collapsing, to prevent the coal mines or rather the earth's crust from collapsing. So, this method is much less economical method. Everything has its effects on the environment. So, the effect of coal mining has a great impact on the environment, which leads to the removal of vegetation and topsoil. It might turn that land and the surrounding land barren. Land collapse is another result of coal mining, and in cases of coal mining, explosion and needs to be carried out, and therefore explosion and fire may be caused because of underground mining, since it involves blasting at the sites, and this blasting which needs to be carried out by dynamites. Respiratory diseases among mine workers due to the inhalation of coal dust may also seen. Transportation of coal in trains is done, which has a lot of economical impact. Electricity which is produced from coals is in thermal electric power plants, which are used for the generation of electricity, and this is a picture which is showing a thermal electric power plant where coal is burnt and the steam which is produced is used to run turbines, and ultimately electricity is being produced. And this is a schematic diagram showing the thermal electric power plant where the coal is fed, and through a series of machines, turbines, alternators, and ultimately the hot water which is so generated, it is run through cooling towers and electricity is thus generated. So, coming to the working of the thermal electric power plant. Now, coal is a fuel which generates heat and converts water into steam. Steam at a high pressure is used to spin a turbine. The turbine then rotates an armature in the magnetic field, which induces the flow of electric current. The steam which leaves the turbine has been condensed to water by a condenser, through which cooling water flows. These are the procedures or the stepwise method of the production of electricity. After that, the cooling water which gets heated in this process is discharged into a nearby water body, and this results in increase in the average temperature of the water body. A coal power plant which uses 2 turbines gives an efficiency of around 40%. This efficiency can be increased by firstly using hot combustion gases via a turbine to generate electricity and subsequently used to produce steam from water to generate electricity as it has been described. The combustion of coal results in the emission of gases like carbon dioxide, many nitrogen oxides and metals like arsenic, selenium and radioactive elements, and also a lot of particulate matter. Sulfur dioxide is a toxic gas whose exposure can lead to respiratory disorders. Air pollution disasters due to electric power plants have occurred in countries like London, Pennsylvania and Belgium. So, the method of coal conversion technology can be used to check the emission of sulfur and nitrogen as their oxides from coal, since they are highly polluting. When powdered coal is heated with sodium hydroxide solution under moderate pressure, sulfur and many other trace elements are reduced from coal. That means their emission is minimized in this case. Oxides of sulfur and nitrogen contribute to acid rain, hence their emission into the environment needs to be minimized. Apart from this, thermal pollution is caused due to coal mining. The hot water produced when unused steam from turbines is condensed, is dumped into water bodies, causing the overall temperature of water bodies to rise. This affects aquatic organisms as they are unable to reproduce and survive at a particular temperature. The dissolved oxygen content of the water body also decreases, since the maximum amount of oxygen dissolved in water is at a temperature of 4 degrees centigrade. So, as the temperature of the water body increases, the amount of oxygen dissolved in that water body also decreases. This is a picture which is showing a thermal power plant and causing a lot of pollution. As you can see, the amount of smoke which is coming out of the chimneys in thermal power plants. And apart from this, hot water which is being added to the nearby water body. Now, the industrial gases which can be obtained from coal include coal gas, water gas, producer gas and synthesis gas, also known as syngas. Coming to the detailed discussion of coal gas, it is a mixture of carbon monoxide, hydrogen, methane and carbon dioxide. It is obtained by the distillation of coal. Coal gas is also called town gas. This gas was earlier used for cooking and heating purposes. However, its use has now become obsolete and restricted, and therefore is being replaced by natural gas, and the use has now become obsolete because of the amount of pollution which it causes. Water gas again is a mixture of carbon monoxide and hydrogen. Its synthesis is carried out when coal reacts with steam. Water gas is first sprayed with water and then burnt. It is a source of fuel, energy. Since water is present, so the combustion temperature is lowered and hence nitrogen and oxygen do not combine to form harmful oxides. Producer gas is another gas obtained from coal. It is a mixture of carbon monoxide in the ratio of 25%, nitrogen 70%, carbon dioxide 4%, and traces of methane, hydrogen, and oxygen. Synthesis of producer gas is as follows. The red hot coke in the presence of air forms carbon dioxide and nitrogen, which ultimately leads to the formation of carbon monoxide. So, carbon dioxide gets reduced ultimately to carbon monoxide and 4 moles of nitrogen along with it, and this mixture of carbon monoxide and nitrogen is the producer gas. This gas has a comparatively lower calorific value. Another type of gas, as we have already labeled, is synthesis gas. This is also called syngas, and it is a mixture of carbon monoxide and hydrogen. The synthesis of syngas is carried out in the following manner, where carbon, or to be precise coke, reacts with oxygen and water to give carbon monoxide and hydrogen, and this combination of carbon monoxide and hydrogen is the syngas. Syngas has a high calorific value. It can also be prepared by the dissociation of methanol by using solar heat energy. Now, after we have discussed the fossil fuel as labeled as coal, another important fossil fuel is oil, which is a very good energy source. So, we now need to discuss oil as an energy source. There are 3 types of oils which can serve as energy sources. Number 1 is the petroleum oil, number 2 shale oil, and number 3 algal oil. Petroleum oil is a naturally occurring oil. It is found deep below the earth's crust, and therefore it is called mineral oil. It is formed by the decay of microscopic plant and animal remains under layers of rocks millions of years ago. It is a complex mixture of hydrocarbons in its crude form. It is in the form of black viscous liquid when it is taken out from below the earth. Natural gas also occurs along with crude oil. There is a picture which is showing the extraction technique of petroleum oil on the left hand side, and right hand side, as you can see, the dark colored liquid which is present is actually the petroleum oil. Petroleum is formed from algae under the oceans. The algae are broken down by anaerobic bacteria. Anaerobic bacteria are those which are working in the absence of oxygen, as deep down under the surface of water near the ocean, bottom of the ocean, there is total absence of oxygen. The organic material is thus converted into petroleum by various physical and chemical processes. Oil is then recovered from the oceans or mines by drilling, and the oil obtained by natural pressure is referred to as primary recovery. It accounts for 20% of the total extracted oil. The oil obtained by injecting gases such as carbon dioxide or nitrogen above the reservoir is referred to as secondary recovery. It accounts for 80% of the total extracted oil. Crude oil is then refined by the process of fractional distillation. So, after the process of extraction of petroleum oil from beneath the oceans by either primary recovery method or secondary recovery method, it is then need to be refined. The oil reserves under the earth are detected by a technique called seismology. A controlled explosion is carried out using dynamite under the earth's surface. This explosion causes shock waves below the ground, which are reflected back by the petroleum surfaces. When these waves reach the surface, they are received by geophones connected to seismometer. This is a picture showing a petroleum refinery where crude oil is inserted into the furnace and ultimately into the refinery, where different fractions are recovered in the refinery. Fractions containing gasoline or many hydrocarbons, many other fuel oils, lubricating oils, and residue which is then passed out of the column from below. And this is a picture which is showing the seismic method to detect oil reserves below the earth's surface. The difference in time between the explosion and reception of vibrations by the surface of the earth determines the nature of the rock and hence the existence of the oil reserve. Now, this is a graph showing the various oil reserves present in the world. 68% of the total oil reserves are in the Middle East, and in India, oil reserves are seen in places like Bombay High, Assam, and the Krishna Godavari basin. Now, after this, when 20% petrol or gasoline is obtained from the fractional distillation of crude oil, it is not sufficient to meet the demand, because 20% of petrol or gasoline definitely cannot be sufficient to meet the rising demand. Therefore, it is a need to increase the amount of gasoline from crude oil, and for this two processes which are cracking and reforming are used. So, cracking and reforming of crude oil is carried out to increase the production of gasoline from crude oil. Cracking and reforming are complementary to each other. Cracking process converts higher molecular mass compounds into lower molecular mass compounds. Reforming as a process converts lower molecular mass compounds into higher ones, higher molecular mass compounds. And by the above technique, the yield of gasoline from crude oil can be increased by 50%. Another name for cracking is pyrolysis. It involves the breaking down of large hydrocarbon compounds into smaller parts, wherein there is a cleavage of carbon-hydrogen or carbon-carbon bond. Thermal cracking is a process which is used frequently in the petroleum industry to increase the quantity of petrol or gasoline obtained. And the type of cracking processes which are shown include thermal cracking, fluid catalytic cracking, and hydrocracking. These are the three types of cracking processes which are carried out to increase the concentration of gasoline. Now, there are certain effects, of course, which petroleum extraction has on the environment, just like any other fossil fuel has. There is a destruction of land for laying pipelines and storage tanks. Then the pollution of ground and surface water also can take place from oil leaks whenever there is a leakage of oil underground. Sinking of land can occur after the extraction of oil from below the earth's crust. So, once oil has been extracted from below the earth's crust, that land, now nothing has below to keep it stable, and hence sinking of that land can take place. Addition of the mud which is drilled out can be done onto the land, which increases the quantity of mud on the surface of the land, thus making that area barren or uninhabitable. Seepage and spillage of oil in water bodies affects marine organisms, and as we have already seen what kind of a pollution does this oil which spreads out on water bodies in the form of oil slick causes on marine organisms. The combustion of the products causes air pollution and can be hazardous to the health. Another kind of oil which can be extracted apart from petroleum is shale oil. Shale oil occurs in sedimentary rocks which have kerogen. Kerogen is an organic material, and actually shale is a kind of a stone which is a kind of a sedimentary rock, an organic material which is shale present in shale rocks. Shale oil is then extracted from kerogen by distillation. So, since the name of the rock is shale, so therefore the name of the oil is also shale oil. Although the extraction is done from kerogen, which is present in shale, which is the organic material. Now, geological processes which act upon ancient sediments which accumulated in lakes resulted in the formation of organic matter in shale. Wyoming and Colorado, which are in the US, have the world's largest shale oil deposit. Now, shale oil extraction also has certain disadvantages associated with it. Shale oil is not a preferred choice because of the following reasons. The mining of rocks to obtain the oil results in waste rock, posing a negative impact on the environment. And the processing of shale oil releases toxic heavy metals in the atmosphere, and the process is also expensive. So, therefore, shale oil, as a result of its being mined, resulting in a lot of waste rock, and the processing of shale oil which releases a lot of toxic heavy metal ions which are present below the earth's surface into the atmosphere. So, these are the disadvantages which are linked with shale oil, and thus shale oil is generally not a preferred choice, but yes, it is definitely extracted in places like Colorado and Wyoming and still in use over there. So, we will continue with our next type of oils in next lecture. Thank you.